touch button. Not until I make him kill you. Slowly, intimately, in every way he knows you fear. And then he'll wake just long enough to see his good work. And when he screams, I'll split his skull.
They're gonna let these people die.
Who are you?
In 2021, Loki got his own show, but he was written so inconsistent from what came before that they can hardly be considered the same person. Let's dive into episode 1, so I can show you what I mean. First, a quick recap of Loki's journey thus far. In Thor, Loki plotted to earn his father's approval and become king of Asgard, but his plans unraveled and he lost everything. He lost the crown, he lost his family, and he even lost his identity. He learned he was an adopted frost giant and not Odin's true son. In the end, he let himself fall into an abyss, coming out the other side more determined and ruthless. He met Thanos, who gave him a new goal.
He who put the scepter in your hand, who gave you ancient knowledge and new purpose when you were cast out, defeated.
I was a king, the rightful king of Asgard.
Loki now sought power and glory by any means. In the Avengers, he attempted to conquer Earth. He nearly succeeded, but the Avengers stopped him. He was taken prisoner, narrowly escaping due to a series of peculiar events.
Time travel!
Which leads us to the start of Loki. Loki lands in Mongolia.
I am Loki of Asgard, and I am burdened with glorious purpose.
An awkward first impression. Loki's more concerned with pompously introducing himself to some strangers than figuring out where he is and how he should proceed. He doesn't even bother picking up the Tesseract. In Avengers, when he teleported into S.H.I.E.L.D., he made sure all the threats were neutralized and the situation was under his control before he bothered with introductions. Loki is egotistical, but practical. It may be a small moment, but from the very first action Loki takes, the show mischaracterizes him. Also, these people have just seen a man fall from the sky, yet they don't seem very concerned. This awkward exchange will come to be emblematic of how the show treats Loki, like a joke.
Hang on. Everyone quiet.
He's trying to use his powers, ma'am.
Don't rush me.
Damn it, why would it work?
I was just standing up to make a point.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It won't be as meaningful now.
Okay, well, stay seated.
I'll do what I want to do.
Sure?
Let me see the back of that jacket.
Tickets. Yes, here they are. Oops.
Loki has been used as the butt of jokes in the past, namely in Avengers, but it wasn't pervasive. Avengers had plenty of scenes where Loki was treated as a serious threat. There was the gag where Coulson blasted him through a wall, but it came after Loki mortally wounded him. This funny moment was then shortly followed by the main characters mourning his death. And these jokes weren't to the detriment of his character. Hulk threw him around like a rag doll, but it was after he was taken off guard. He had no time to prepare for this encounter. In this show, Loki is never framed as a credible threat, and its jokes usually contradict his character. The TVA appear, a group that prunes alternate timelines that have branched off the primary one. They grab the Tesseract. Loki tries to get it back, but a TVA agent bitch slaps him, trapping him in a Zack Snyder movie. Loki can create illusions of himself, which he uses often and to great effect. Here, for some reason, Loki decides to approach these unknown entities as himself, and it's because of this uncharacteristic action that they capture him and this show happens at all. In Season 1, Loki rarely uses his go-to power, and he's randomly given completely unrelated abilities. What he can and can't do changes from scene to scene based on the needs of the plot. When the slow-mo ends, Loki falls on his ass and is then dragged through a portal. Spoiler alert, these guys are all normal humans, somehow capable of getting the jump on and overpowering or resisting Loki. Remember, bullets bounce off his skin, he's capable of going toe-to-toe with Thor, and he can survive a thrashing from the Hulk. This scene is as comical as a grown-ass man being outrun by a toddler. Over the course of the series, Loki is constantly getting dunked on by foes far weaker than him. It's absurd. Loki is brought to the TVA and forced through a tedious registration process. Loki is strangely cooperative. He talks back and acts frustrated, but still does what they tell him to do. He doesn't try very hard to obstruct them or to escape. What happened to Loki's backbone? What's with this unwillingness to fight back? In Avengers, Loki was bold enough to talk back to the other, Thanos' personal servant.
Beyond the earth, to the greater worlds, the Tesseract will unveil.
You don't have the Tesseract yet. I don't threaten, but until I open the doors, until your force is mine to command, you have but words.
Why would Loki ever entertain the demands of some office workers?
Please sign to verify this is everything you've ever said.
Loki would sooner use that pen to stab that guy in the neck rather than sign anything given to him. It isn't until he's brought before Renslayer that he finally tries to use his powers to escape. It fails, because magic doesn't work at the TVA. Doesn't that mean Loki should revert to his frost giant form? After all, it was Odin's magic that gave him his Asgardian appearance. And this doesn't explain the absence of Loki's natural super strength. It's an intrinsic part of his biology. Given that Loki's strength is missing even outside the TVA, I think the writers just forgot. Anyway, Loki's inability to escape is made all the more ridiculous when it's shown that a child is capable of easily outwitting the TVA.
Next case.
But I guess it's too difficult a task for the god of mischief. Renslayer says,
Laufeyson. Variant L1130, aka Loki Laufeyson.
Loki doesn't react at all to being called this, which is strange, as he should have a lot of strong feelings concerning his parentage. In Thor, Loki wanted nothing more than to earn the approval of his father Odin. All his lying and plotting was for this goal. But then he learned that his true father was Laufey, king of the Frost Giants, their mortal enemy. It was devastating news, but in the end, Loki committed to his plan, going so far as to kill his biological father to earn Odin's approval.
Your death came at the hand of Laufey.
And your death came by the son of Odin.
But then Odin seemed to reject him.
I could have done it, Father! For you! For all of us!
No, Loki.
Because of these factors, Loki rejected Thor and Odin as his family.
I will not fight you, brother!
I'm not your brother. I never was.
I thought you dead. Did you mourn?
We all did. Our father.
Your father.
So it's strange that when Renslayer calls him Laufey-son, he doesn't react. There's a lot of emotions he might have in this moment. Shock that they know the secret of his parentage, anger at being reminded of the man that abandoned him, melancholy because despite insisting that Odin isn't his father, he still loves him as one. Instead, Loki barely seems to notice. And this isn't him concealing his feelings.
Conceal, don't feel.
He seems to have lost that ability, but we'll touch on that shortly. One of the TVA agents, Mobius, wants to recruit Loki, so he saves him from execution and takes him aside to have a chat. Something made clear in this conversation, and reiterated throughout the show, is that Loki is painfully insecure.
Big metaphor guy. Makes you sound super smart.
I am smart.
I know. Okay.
We've grabbed enough temporal aura to know it's our Loki variant, but which kind of Loki remains unknown.
No, the lesser kind, to be clear. No, they're two completely different powers, actually.
How?
Illusion projection involves depicting a detailed image from outside oneself, which is a holographic mirror of its molecular structure. But you already knew that.
Okay, take a breath. Noted.
We know Loki does hold deep insecurities. He always felt that Thor was the favored son, despite him being a reckless fuck-up.
You know, it all makes sense now why you favored Thor all these years. Because no matter how much you claim to love me,
You could never have a frost giant sitting on the throne of Asgard!
I remember a shadow, living in the shade of your greatness.
But this insecurity has never been so comically blatant. He crumbles at the thought that someone might not think he's the smartest guy in the room. And this ties into another issue demonstrated in this scene. Loki's lack of emotional control.
Conceal.
Mobius asks,
Do you enjoy hurting people? Making them feel small? Making them feel afraid?
Your games don't frighten me.
Making them feel little?
I know what I am.
and Loki appears visibly uncomfortable by this line of questioning. This inability to conceal his feelings makes it easy for Mobius to read him, push his buttons, and direct the conversation where he wants it to go.
If you hadn't picked up the Tesseract, you would have been taken to a cell on Asgard.
Please, don't make this worse.
What is this? This is nonsense. More tricks. It's never even happened.
By the end, Mobius has convinced Loki that this footage is the real future he would have experienced had things progressed as planned, even though Loki has no reason to believe it, and Mobius is evidently using this to get something from him. Not only that, but watching said footage is enough to completely reform Loki in a matter of minutes, something that originally took years of first-hand experiences.
I don't enjoy hurting people. I do it because I have to, because it's part of the illusion. It's the cruel, elaborate trick conjured by the weak to inspire fear.
The desperate play for control.
Loki, the master manipulator, is easily manipulated because he has the emotional maturity of a child.
I was just standing up to make a point.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It won't be as meaningful now.
Okay, well, stay seated.
I'll do what I want to do. Where do you have her? Where is she?
You lead them right to her.
I don't believe you. You're lying. It's not true. I don't believe you.
Do you enjoy killing?
I'll kill you.
May I remind you that earlier this same day, Loki was the one using the emotions of others to his advantage.
You think this madness will end with your rule? It's too late. It's too late to stop it. No. We can. Together.
Sentiment.
This leads to a larger inconsistency. Throughout Season 1, Loki completely fails to lie to and to manipulate anyone. Loki, the man famous for his silver tongue, can't talk his way out of a paper bag. I want to compare two examples of attempted manipulation, one from Thor and one from this show. After Thor was banished from Asgard, Loki paid him a visit. His goal was to ensure that Thor never returned, securing his position as king. Loki starts by dropping this bomb.
Father is dead. What?
He gives Thor a moment for the news to sink in, then provides a vague, yet believable, explanation.
Your banishment, the threat of a new war, it was too much for him to bear.
A common mistake of crafting lies is providing too much info, hinting at a rehearsed response. Loki avoids this pitfall.
You mustn't blame yourself.
Loki says Thor shouldn't blame himself. Yet by doing so, he's the one to plant that idea in his head. Thor hadn't mentioned feeling this way thus far, though Loki may have read those thoughts in his expression. Loki has purposefully made Thor feel guilty, while playing the part of an empathetic ally trying to dissuade such feelings. He continues.
I know that you loved him. I tried to tell him so, but he wouldn't listen. It was so cruel to put the hammer within your reach, knowing that you could never lift it.
Again, Loki accomplishes multiple things at once. He says he was the one speaking on Thor's behalf, framing himself as someone to be trusted and relied upon. He also implies Odin thought Thor didn't love him, adding to Thor's growing guilt. And he lies about Mjolnir's purpose on Earth. Odin put it there not as a test, but as a cruel punishment. This implies that Odin never forgave Thor, and makes Thor believe it's impossible to pick up the hammer. So why try? This further prevents his return to Asgard. With Odin dead, there's the obvious question of succession. Loki addresses this directly. He's not trying to hide anything.
The burden of the throne has fallen to me now.
Can I come home?
The truce with Jotunheim is conditional upon your exile.
Yes, but couldn't we find a way?
And Mother has forbidden your return.
Loki's initial reason is logically sound, but it's not enough to stop Thor's questioning. So he delivers a more emotionally charged reason. Without explicitly saying so, Loki has spun a narrative where he's the only ally Thor has left. His father is dead. Asgard has only acquired peace through his exile, and now his own mother doesn't want to see him again. This one short conversation completely dissuades Thor from trying to return to Asgard. Loki's accomplished this by choosing his words carefully, implying meaning beyond the surface, and manipulating Thor's emotions. He looked his own brother right in the eye and lied to his face, not betraying a hint of his deception. Now let's look at a scene from the Loki show. It's his first mission with the TVA, investigating the murder and kidnapping of some agents at a medieval fair. Like the previous example, Loki makes a dramatic statement to capture everyone's attention.
Wait. If you leave this tent, you'll end up like them.
What do you see?
But here, he squanders this attention by going on a pointless diatribe.
I see a scheme. And in that scheme, I see myself. We have a saying in Asgard. Where there are wolf's ears, wolf's teeth, and ear. It means to be aware of your surroundings, which is absurd, because my people are by nature gullible fools. A straight lie, the god of mischief, exploited time and time again simply by listening. My teeth are sharp, but my ears even sharper. Instead of elaborating on why they should listen to him, he recants a lengthy metaphor that could be surmised as, be vigilant. Rather than explain his bold claim, he tests the patience of people already inclined to ignore him.
We're running out of time, Mobius.
Hold it. Just give him a chance.
You remind me of them. The time variance authority and the gods of Asgard, one and the same. Drunk with power, blinded to the truth. Those you underestimate will devour you. You underestimate me, just as you underestimate this lesser Loki. Which is why you walk into one wolf's mouth after another.
He is wasting our time.
Okay, come on, Loki, make a long story short.
And then Loki insults the TVA agents, encouraging them to disregard the warning he's failed to explain. It's only due to Mobius's curiosity that they entertain Loki's incessant rambling. So far, Loki has said more in this example than the entirety of the last one, yet he's accomplished nothing by comparison.
We need to look for C-20.
But that's exactly what the variant wants you to do. It's a trap. He's waiting for you outside this tent.
Should I secure the reset charges?
No, he wants me. I'm the key to his plan. He knows that I'm stronger than him.
And Loki's ego derails his attempted manipulation. He can't help but make his perceived virtues an integral part of the lie he's concocting. Given how much the TVA has blatantly disrespected him, he should know this would make his story less credible to them. Compare this to the Thor scene. Loki plainly states that he's now king, framing it as a burden rather than a privilege. He doesn't use this as a chance to brag about how great a king he'll be, because he knows that would make Thor suspicious of his motivations.
He rightly believes that together we can overthrow and rule the TVA, but that's not what I want. I have a new purpose. I'm a servant of the sacred timeline.
Loki attempts to frame his motives as selfless, but this is a dumb lie to tell. Everyone there knows Loki's working for them under the threat of death. He even says so himself.
Knowing what I now know about his tactics, I can deliver you the variant, but I need assurances. Assurances that I won't be completely disintegrated the moment the job has been done. And we'll need to speak to the timekeepers at once. They're in graver danger than we realized.
Loki claims he now has enough info to find the variant, but nothing he's said so far proves this. He then tries to use the leverage of this empty claim to get certain assurances, revealing to everyone that this whole speech was just a ploy to manipulate them. After all, it was a mere minutes ago that Loki first discussed meeting the timekeepers with Mobius. In the first example, Loki never explicitly told Thor to never return to Asgard. Instead, he gave him info designed to lead him to this conclusion himself. Because of this, Thor never got the chance to become suspicious of Loki's motives. Suffice it to say, Loki's attempt to exploit the TVA fails miserably.
He's lying. Just playing games. There's no one out there.
And this isn't because they're too clever to be tricked. It's purely due to Loki's buffoonery. Juxtapose this to the Avengers during Black Widow's interrogation of Loki. She was able to trick him into revealing important info, not because he's incompetent, but due to her years of practice and training. And even then, she didn't walk away from that conversation unaffected.
What did Loki do to you?
He didn't. I've been compromised.
In this show, Loki never succeeds at manipulating anyone. He hardly tries, and when he does, he crashes and burns. Back to episode 1. Loki escapes the room while Mobius is away. He goes in search of the Tesseract and finds it in a drawer filled with Infinity Stones. Like magic, they don't work at the TVA. The fact that this is here, and Loki knows about it, creates a big issue for later. In episode 2, Loki is taken on a mission to Earth. If he had thought to sneak the Tesseract with him, or any of the other stones, he would have been able to escape the TVA easily. If only Loki was known for being sneaky.
There's not many people who can sneak up on me.
And if only he were a good pickpocket.
Mischievous camp.
Loki nearly took control of Asgard and Earth because he could craft effective and elaborate plans. He got Thor banished by staging a frost giant attack during the ceremony, tricking Thor into starting a conflict with Jotunheim, and secretly informing Odin of Thor's reckless actions. He nearly destroyed the Avengers by purposefully getting captured, planting distrust within the team, using the scepter to cause further conflict, orchestrating an attack on the helicarrier, and unleashing the Hulk to cause as much destruction as possible. Now, he's so brain dead, it doesn't occur to him to stick a rock in his pocket, even though it's basically an automatic win. At the end of episode 1, Loki agrees to work with Mobius to capture a variant of himself. In the next episode, he meets this variant, a woman called Sylvie. By the end of the season, Loki becomes extremely emotionally attached to both these characters. Loki and Sylvie spend less than a day with each other, yet they're supposedly in love by the finale. Loki, a very selfish person, has a couple conversations with Sylvie, and suddenly his whole world revolves around her.
You were just a child when the TVA took you, but you nearly took down the organization that claims to govern the order of time. You did it on your own. You had rings around them. You're amazing. I'm staying!
Loki, I don't even know if this is gonna work.
You go, I go. It's just you.
Loki, shut up. I was pruned before you even existed. I have been waiting for this moment my entire life. I just need a second to get my head straight.
Sure, of course.
Even though Thor is Loki's brother, he was willing to kill him in pursuit of his own ambitions. But a few hours with Sylvie is apparently enough to completely change his character.
I betrayed everyone who ever loved me. I betrayed my father, my brother, my home. I know what I did, and I know why I did it. And that's not who I am anymore. I've been where you are. I've felt what you feel. All I know is I don't want to hurt you. I don't want a throne. I just want you to be okay.
He even has a breakdown when he thinks she might have been killed, someone he barely knows.
Is she alive?
For now.
And then there's Mobius. Despite the constant insults, despite the torture, and despite the persistent threat of death, Loki somehow comes to consider Mobius his friend.
I specialize in the pursuit of dangerous variants.
Like myself.
No particularly dangerous variants. You're just a little pussycat. It's funny, for someone born to rule, you sure do lose a lot.
I don't believe
Do you enjoy killing?
I'll kill you.
What, like you did your mother?
I believed, stupidly, that insecure need for validation would motivate you to find the killer. Not because you care about the TVA mission, but because you know this variant is better than you, and you can't take it.
Put him in.
Time loops. How lovely.
Let me park you at this desk, and don't be afraid to really lean into this work. Here's a good trick for you. Pretend your life depends on it.
Thank you, my friend.
Bruh. And like with Sylvie, Loki has a very emotional reaction to his apparent death. In general, Loki is strangely compassionate for no reason. He goes from this...
You can't kill an entire race. Why not?
He killed 80 people in 2 days.
To this.
They're gonna let these people die.
In the span of a few days. If I had to guess, I'd say the writers wanted a protagonist that was non-threatening, funny, romantic, and morally unambiguous. Rather than put in the immense amount of work necessary to get Loki to that place, they cheated, pretending that he was always like that. I don't know who the hell this guy is, but he sure ain't Loki. If you like this video, leave a like. For more MCU reviews, check out my Hulk and She-Hulk videos. Till next time.